I've just done the beetroot bed for Nella, so there's no need to go and trample all over it like you've done with the parsnip and the carrots bed. You just go to sleep there. Good day. Welcome to the 1st of February. Welcome to a new month, and welcome to the first segment in this week's A Week at the Plot. As you may know, the 1st of February is the festival of Imbolc, also known as St. Brigid's Day, and is a sort of marker really for the middle of winter. Obviously, meteorologically, it's very different, but in pagan terms, it was a marker for the middle of winter and the fact that we're on our way to spring. And obviously, it sort of sits halfway between the winter and the spring equinox. So, yeah, I think that's where it sits each year. It doesn't change. And I came down. It's so quiet here today. It's so gloriously quiet. There's a lot of scaffolding that's gone up on the house that's being renovated right next to the plot. So, but the scaffolding is up and they're not working. They're working inside the house today, so there's no noise going on, and there's just the sort of mutter of people walking up and down, going towards the canal, and having had their walk on the canal, walking away. And it's so quiet. I can't see anyone else on the plot today, on the site today, actually. When I was coming in, my plot neighbour just here, who came over, I think he's a Windrush guy, and he and I were chatting, and he's still got really, really strong accent, and it's one of those things you have to listen really carefully and sort of go, sorry, say that again. But we had a really nice chat at the gate a short while ago for about 10 or 15 minutes. It was lovely. It's lovely at the moment, isn't it, to chat to people that you don't know as well as those people that you know really well. And he's done a lot of work on his plot in October and November and covered it. And what he was saying at the gate is he's glad he did that work then, because it's so wet now that it would be difficult to do that. But yeah, there we are. However, I need to crack on with jobs. It is the 1st of February. I've still got the beds to extend. I've still got the fruit bed to sort. I've got the old tomato vinyl bed to sort, and I've got the vinyl over there to sort, and I've got the wildlife pond to sort. And then there's everything else that we need to do. But you know what? I'm feeling a little bit, I need to get on with things. But there's no point in getting on with muddy work when there's lots, when you do the work, there's going to be even more mud. You're going to create more mud. There's no point in doing that. So what I've done today is I've raked that beetroot bed flat, as you've seen, and gave it a scattering of chicken manure pellets. Then I saw Fenella having a nap over there. And just next to her actually was Brush, her son. And I went over, and as you've seen now, I caught Fenella, but Brush, he's very nervous. Felicity, the daughter's nervous as well. But can you listen. Did you hear that? I hope you did. Three swans flying over. That beat of those wings, it's so you as soon as you know that noise is swans, you will never ever forget that noise is swans. And there's quite a few on the canal, and they do a circuit in the morning and in the afternoon. They're going over there now. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but one day maybe I'll catch them on camera, and I'll catch brush on camera one day as well. But Fenella, yeah, she takes the fact that these are beds a bit too literally, as you can see. She thinks, yeah, they're lovely, they're nice and comfortable. So yeah, but there we are. Bless. We don't mind. We don't mind. I broke off then because Brush was coming up the path, but as soon as I moved, he scampered up. I think he's actually beneath our shed up here, where there. I think he's beneath that shed, which is, I think, where the litter, not last year, but the year before that Fenella had was born. But yeah, anyway. So I broke off because I thought I'd be able to get some footage of him, but unfortunately not. So, oh, they're coming back. Can I? It's interruption day today. Isn't it funny how you look at something with your eyes and it seems so close. Those two swans seem so close to me. One must have landed on the canal and the other two carried on. But when you look at it through a camera lens, they look so far away. So I yeah, I thought I tried capture them, but no, that was a bit of a waste of time, wasn't it? Anyway, I've been looking at the weather for this week and it really looks as though it's going to be wet. So I don't think I'll be getting on and doing these vinyl beds this week. But, you know, who knows? Weather can change. So, yes, what I'm going to do at some point this week is just give you an overview of what I do for keeping a track of sowings and germination and planting out and harvesting. So I'll be doing that with an Excel spreadsheet at home at some point this week. The only other thing that I'm going to do now is pick some Brussels sprouts, pick a little bit of Portuguese cabbage, and then go home and get on a call to a client because I need to speak to a client this afternoon. So there we are. That's an odd start to a week at the plot, but I hope you've enjoyed it. See you again very soon. Bye. That's Fenella at the front. Can I zoom in? There's Brush. Brush! Look at him. He's got two white dots on either side of his nose with snout. Bless. I know this is really bad, but I don't have my tripod. And there's Fenella just having a sniff of the air. But look at Brush. Good day. I know that footage is pretty poor, but you know what? When I was leaving yesterday, I locked up the shed, was just walking down the path, had a look to see if Felicity was still having a sleep, and saw Brush. So I got my phone out. As I say, I didn't have a tripod, so it's all shaky. But you know what? I'm so glad I did. That's the first footage I have ever got of Brush. And I hope you could see the two dots that he has on either side of his snout. He's such a gorgeous boy, he really is. I couldn't get any closer because I know he's really skittish. So if I got closer, I'd have got a better photo, a better image. But actually, I wouldn't have done because he'd have scuttled off and I wouldn't have seen him for another 15, 20 minutes. So yeah, really pleased to get that. Also, the swans yesterday. Now, the interesting thing is I had in the back of my mind something about swans when I was doing that filming. and I couldn't think what it was. And then Jerry said to Planet Vegetarians, when I posted the segment on Planet Vegetaria, St. Brigid's is the saint of swans, or mean swans. So isn't that amazing that on the festival of Imbolc, St. Brigid's Day, those swans flew over? Let's hope that's an omen for a good growing season this year. Fingers crossed. Anyway, I have been down today, or I am down, as you can see me, and I have done a bit of marking out of the plots, of the beds rather, the bed extensions, and also the vinyl. It looks as though we're going to get quite a bit of rain, so I wanted to do that as soon as possible this morning, and that is actually going to feature in the 11th episode of Starting a New Plot. So if you're watching the series Starting a New Plot, there's now an 11th episode, or there will be in a day or so, and you can watch what I actually did. But let me just show you now what I have done. Sneak peek for Planet Vegetarians. Here we are. I've marked out these two beds, or the extensions of these two beds, with blue. And I've marked out this one with green, and this one with green as well. So I've catched a little bit here and come in a little bit there to make sure I have a wide enough path. As I say in the video, the 11th episode, I'm now going to live with this for a week or so. We've got quite a lot of water, quite a lot of rain due. The ground is quite wet anyway, so yeah, I'm going to see how this week goes, but certainly I'm going to live with this for a few days, if not a week or more. Before I crack on with these beds, I need to sort out the fruit bed, so there is another job that I need to do. So there we are. I have marked these out today. I'm really pleased with that, and we will crack on with something else tomorrow. See you soon. Bye. Good day. So it was a tidying and clearing hour for me today. I wanted to get into the brassica beds and into the celeriac and the perpetual spinach beds, because the snow that we've had and the amount of rain that we had have really done it for particularly some of that perpetual spinach. It will come back, it will grow back, but there's no point in leaving those leaves there that are dying and decaying, because they're just going to encourage slugs and snails, even though it's cold, to come around your crops, which obviously we do not want. And it's better to have that detritus in your compost bin, where it's going to compost down in a fabulous fashion and give you nutrients and structure in your soil as compost in a few months' time, or maybe 6 months' time at the moment. So yeah, that's all I've done. What I am going to do now is pop into the shed. I need to get onto a Zoom call, or listen in actually on a Zoom call, for the London Federation of City Farms and Community Gardens. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to be tearing up cardboard at the same time, because that again will be going into our compost bin. Shall I turn? I tell you what, I may actually turn the compost bins this morning, or shall I do it tomorrow? I'll see. See you again soon. Bye. Good day. I am in the poly, but I'm only in the poly because it's quite bright out there. It's really overcast, but the sun is sort of breaking through the clouds, or the brightness of the sun is breaking through the clouds. And my eyes are really feeling quite sensitive today. I don't think at this time of year I'm used to really bright lights. And so I thought I'd just come in here and do this bit here, and then we'll go outside. I want to show you a few things today. We've got some daffodils coming up. We've also got the Portuguese cabbage putting on their true leaves, which is fabulous. And there's something else I'd like to show you as well. So here's my first happy sight of the day. You see that green shard there and that green shard there? Those are daffodils coming through in this trough, which I'm really, really pleased about. It's such a joy when you see new growth in the garden. It really is such a joy. I wonder how fast they'll grow. These are our Portuguese cabbage seedlings, and you can just see here, and right at the front here, and here, and here, and over here as well. Those leaves coming up in the centre are the true leaves of these plants. They're serrated, and the round leaves that you see, these and these, are just the seedling leaves, and they will fall away. They're not true leaves. But the serrated leaves that you see are true leaves, and truer to the leaf on the plant when it grows, and eventually when we start harvesting it. So these seedlings, I think we sowed these at the end of November, so they're sort of between 8 and 10 weeks old, I think. And in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be pricking these out and giving some away too. Finally, looky here. Can you see that bit of growth? That's one of the acorns that we picked up at Kew Gardens coming through. I really didn't expect it to be coming through so early, but yeah, that's one of those 4. Oh, isn't it wonderful when we see this new growth coming through? I mean, that literally is a new life. You know, it's from an acorn that fell off a tree in the autumn of last year, that we planted up several months ago. and it's growing. Fabulous. Right, we'll see you again very soon. Bye. Good day. With a slight fear of boring you all, I'm back on this bed. Quite a few people after the 11th episode of Starting a New Plot have suggested, have emailed or put in comments ways of redoing this plot from what I've done here. There are quite a few reasons why I've gone for this layout. The first reason is that I want to have some ground beds here. I haven't worked with ground beds for about 40 years, and our plot neighbours have ground beds, as you've seen me show, and I really want to have a ground bed. Now, if you haven't seen our other videos, a ground bed I call as a bed that's edged by lawn. It doesn't actually have any height to it. An edge bed, which is these shallower ones here, are literally an edging to hold maybe a few inches of additional soil height in, but they're basically there to add structure rather than height. And then we have these raised beds. These are 3 decking boards high, and we use those for root veg mainly parsnips and carrots. So I want a ground bed here because I want to see how I get on with a ground bed. We did have one on a plot down here, and I decided to edge it, but I was always going to edge it. This one, I want to see how a ground bed works for me. The other things that people have suggested is putting long beds in here and not extending these out at all. But one of the things that I also want this year is I want little pockets of beds. Most of our beds are 1.2 meters by 2.4 meters. That's their structure. And I want some smaller beds. These will be, I think they're 90 centimeters out by 1.2 wide. And I want to see how I manage with those. I'm hoping this year to do some things a bit more potager style. And I think having these additional pocket beds will allow me to do a bit of potaging and a bit of potager style growing. And others, I've also thought, of course, about extending these beds completely across. And completely across. So extending this bed, and this bed completely across here. But actually, I want this pathway here. I want easy access in here. I don't want to have to go that way to come in that way, or this way to come in that way. So I want this path here so that I can easily get into these beds. I could, of course, put beds here. So I could sort of parallel these beds here, but then I lose growing space in the middle, which I want to try and not do. So there's a number of reasons why I've chosen this layout. I'm going to try it for a year, and I will see how I do. It may be that I decide actually edge beds are best for me, which is what I sort of think in my head. But it may be that I just haven't got the management of the ground level beds that I've done in the past right yet. So it's an experiment. And let's face it, you know, all of us growers are experimenting all the time. And I guess if we had the money to, and I don't want the money to do this, but if we had the money to say, actually, you know what, we're going to remove the sheds, we're going to move the old sheds, we're going to look at it as a completely brand new plot and buy another shed, buy a different greenhouse, blah, 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 we would obviously do things differently. But what I'm doing here is I'm working with what we have already and the plan that's in my head. And if it doesn't work this year in this area, you know what? I haven't lost anything. I will have learned. I will have understood more about my own gardening techniques and how I do things. So I'm happy to experiment. We're not experimenting as much in what we're growing this year. In our last growing year, we did quite a few new vegetables and we did quite a few new varieties. So I'm not experimenting that much in that way this year, but I'm experimenting in the structure of this area. So there we are. These up here, some of the brassicas I took out yesterday, and they're going to various chickens on the site. Right, I will leave it there and I will see you another day. I hope that's been helpful. I love people's comments, and I never want to not have comments. I think they're really valuable. And I hope that the discussion or my chat today gives an understanding of why I've done some of the things that I have done here. I hope so, at least. See you again soon. Bye. Good day, and welcome to a rather quiet and calm day on the plot. The calm before the storm. Richard says we have Storm Darcy on its way. Though at the moment there's a few specks of rain in the air, but it's still and rather lovely, and about 8 degrees as well. So I don't have my body warmer on. I've got my fleece, but not my body warmer. And in fact, I've been doing a few jobs which have kept me warm, and maybe a bit too warm. So maybe I didn't need my fleece, but hey ho. I came down today with a plan to do one thing, and as often happens, I decided to do something else. I've been asked over the last, what's it now, about 9 months that I've been doing a week at the plot, whether I have a daily plan that I stick by. And the simple answer to that is no, I don't. I have a list of maybe 4, 5 or 6 things that I know I want to do. And what I'll do is, I mean, there's always something to do, you know, that's the thing. And especially if you can grab an hour on a regular basis, there's always something you can do. So I come down and I might have in my mind, like I did today, what I was going to do. And I actually ended up doing something different, because my plot neighbour next to me was sorting out their chickens and sorting out their compost, and all of that was nice and quiet. And my plot neighbour, who is still over there, 2 away from me, she's doing a lot of tidying of her plot at the moment, and I think cutting up things and turning her compost bins. That's what she's doing at the moment. And what I was going to do was going to be a bit of banging, so I decided not to do that today. So I tidied the plants on the bench, which you may know I've been saying I have wanted to do for maybe 6 to 8 weeks at least. So let me just show you what I have done. This is our plants bench, and throughout much of last year it was a jumble of different things. So we have the cuttings and the seedlings bench, which is the one over here by the polytunnel. And then when things get a bit larger, they come either to this bench or they come to something behind the shed. We've got some storage behind the shed, and I will put seedlings on top of there. But these are all plants that I have been bringing on, basically. So right over this end, we've got 3 rhubarb right at the front. These are all perennial kale. That's our Indian perennial kale, which were cuttings and they're now plants, and they're going to be going to other neighbours on our plot, or other people on the site rather. Down here we've got a hazel, which I may put into the wildlife area here. This batch here are all perennial kale, At the back, we've got the Indian perennial kale we're keeping, which is 4 plants. And then the 3 right at the front are Debentum kale. And the one this side here is Panache Debentum kale. Again, they're all perennial kales, as I've said. All of this tray is going to be given away. This one is going to be kept. We've got a real mixture in here of different things. There's something that smells like celeriac. I was sorting out the pots and something smelled like celeriac, so I potted it back up. But I don't see why I'd have put celeriac into a big pot like this. Then there's some wildflowers there as well. There's also a mulberry, I think. And there's also a, Mirabelle cherry. That's the one here. Mirabelle cherry. And then right at the front, the green one on the corner is a oxeye daisy that also has some self-seeded allium, flower allium in there. So not onions or garlic, but some type of allium flower that we do have on the plot. And then over on this tray here, in the green tray here, is a mix match of Portuguese cabbage, perennial kale, something that I don't know, 3 small rhubarb, and then down here is more Portuguese cabbage. So that's that bench tidied, and I'm really pleased to have it tidied. There is something I want to do. I'm going to go in there and do something now, because something that I meant to do has just caught my eye. That bit of white slate, not sure why it was there. And then right at the back down here, I think that's a comfrey that we had as a root offcut last year that I put into a pot. I think I did about 4 or 5 of them, and we've got 1 left, having given all the others away. So yeah, that's the pottering time I've had today. Really, literally pottering, sorting out these pots, weeding them, repotting where it's been necessary, topping up with fresh compost, cutting things back where it was essential to cut them back, or maybe not essential, but I wanted to cut them back. So in the case of the oxeye daisy here, we had some old stems which had died back, so I've cut them back. Yeah, so a pottering day, which has been lovely. And now I'm just going to remove this dead leaf from this Portuguese cabbage and wend my way home. And I think I'll see you tomorrow. With Storm Darcy coming in, we'll have to see. If I don't see you tomorrow for a Sunday segment, thanks very much for watching A Week at the Plot on YouTube, if you watched it on YouTube. And thanks everyone who watches on Planet Vegetaria on a daily basis, or a regular basis, certainly. I really do appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please do leave them down below. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye. Good day. I decided to pop down and just harvest some leaves for our meal later. And as I came in the gate, I saw that the detritus from the stables where the 2 horses are had been left out. So as you saw, I picked it up and put it into the hexagonal compost bin, which is now full. I'll most probably turn that in about a month or 6 weeks time. Not sure if you can see on camera, we've got a little bit of snow coming down. It's quite wet, I think. It's 4.5 degrees, not very heavy snow. So whether it will stick, I don't think it's cold enough to stick. I think the ground is still well above freezing. So when it hits the ground, it just melts. But maybe later on it will get colder. They do say it's going to get colder. So we'll leave it there. A week at the plot done and dusted. And who knows what next week will bring. Apart from the forecast, rather icy weather. And we'll see if that manifests itself as well. Okay. Bye.